Alright, so black strip of paper, you're going to fold it in half, horizontally, and then fold it in half that way. It doesn't matter. And then unfold it, so your crease is kind of there in the center. Alright, and now we're going to use your white charcoal. So this is kind of the reverse of what you typically do. We usually draw on white paper with a dark Sharpie pencil, whatever, but we're reversing it. So go ahead and put your name with white, and your, can you see that? Not so much. Yeah, I have the same thing. There's, I just happen to have a pencil. No, it's on the back. The back is whatever side you call the back. Alright, so then flip it over, name's on the back, and we're going to do two value scales, right? So value in art is not necessarily how much it's worth. Remember, value is one of your 7 elements of art. Value is shading. So it's when something goes from dark to light. So the cylinder goes from dark to light. The cube has a light side, a medium side, a dark side, and then so does the sphere. Okay? So what we're going to do with your 8-head Fred here eventually is get some shading on him, so or her, so that they begin to look, they have value, but they also look a little bit three-dimensional. So value also creates form. Remember shape and form? Shapes are flat, forms are 3D, right? So we're going to try and give your flat line drawing 8-head Fred some life and make him look like 3D. But we're going to do a little practice with these white pencils first. So we're going to make what's called a value scale, light to dark, in 2 different versions. So on the right side here, I've got more paper off on the side here. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to draw a rectangle in here. It doesn't need to be like perfectly straight, but I've got about a pencil width on the sides here, right? That's about the size of my border, it's about as fat as my pencil. You can turn your paper as you draw, but you're just drawing a rather large rectangle. Doesn't matter. Alright, and then a little bit like 8-head Fred, we're going to divide this in half. So again, we don't need to measure, but just sort of eyeball it. So there's half. And then we'll go half and half again. You probably don't need to push that hard, although that noise occasionally does happen. So we're going to create 4 different values. One of them is actually already created for you. So let's keep the inside box here on the left is black. So well done, you've all created the darkest possible value. It's black. So what we're going to do second is come all the way to the other side, and we're going to reverse it. So we're going to make it as light as we can. So you're going to take your white charcoal, and in this box, here's a trick here. Watch for a sec before you start coloring. Is you feel free to change directions when you're shading or coloring or painting. So I am on this line right here, this vertical line. So my shading is moving in a vertical direction. Then I'm never going to shade outside that line, and it will look a lot neater. And I'm going to turn it. I always like to turn my drawings. So now I'm going to do the left side, same way. So now I'll never go, I won't say never, but probably won't go outside here. So I'm kind of creating like a frame or a border around it. If you do, you do. These are actually somewhat erasable. That is the lightest one. So you're actually, since it's white, you're actually pushing down hard. It's kind of the opposite of a pencil. With a pencil, if you put a regular pencil, it's dark the harder you push down. This is a white pencil, so the harder you push down, it's lighter. Then when you get to the inside, then you can kind of go faster and cover more ground. If you can try not to squeak, that would be good. All right, then your friend, the blending stomp, like stomp your feet, S-T-O-M-P, is this guy. Can you guys stop squeaking here? It's a paper. It's basically like a little bit like rolled up newspaper that has a point to it. So you can't draw with this by itself any more than you can draw with your plain old finger. It's a little bit like, don't do this, but it's a little bit like sharpening your finger, right? I could absolutely blend this charcoal with my finger, but my fingers are kind of big, or at least they're round, and I've got some tight corners here. So the blending stomp just allows me to kind of smooth this value out, fill in the little gaps, and make it all the same, nice and even and white, instead of like sketchy and some's light, some's dark. Yeah, and it is going to get a little bit chalky. It's charcoal, but it's a lot like chalk in terms of dust. Okay, I'm going to move on. You don't have to be done, but I want to just show you the steps, and then you can do it. So the idea is you have two other values to get to black. So it's kind of like you're walking down the stairs maybe into like a dark basement, right? The lights are on, you're a couple steps down, and it's a little bit darker. So I'm going to take my pencil, and I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to apply less pressure. So I'm trying to create a value of white or gray with a noticeable difference, can you see that at all, between the two. So I want it to be darker, but not like you're jumping down 10 steps. You're not jumping down the stairs. You're kind of stepping down the stairs. So this next one should be just like a step darker. Okay? Right, and then you'll use the blending tool. Well, then you use too much pressure. Your goal is to create a difference in value. It's kind of like running. Like I know you guys just ran the mile, right? Like there's a difference between a mile and a sprint. You can run full out, or you can kind of ease up and kind of jog for a mile. The first one is maybe like your sprint, where you're going hard. The next one is a little bit easier. It's softer. You're using less pressure. Alright, and then your third one, and I'm going fast here, but I just want to get my demo done here, and then you can continue. Third one, I'm kind of trying to decide here, actually, if that's too big of a difference here. I might need to go back up and kind of darken this one in, or like actually lighten it. Because what I need next is one that is in between my black and my gray. So this one probably I want to be a little bit darker. And then I want to step down here. So the last one is not quite black, but it's a darker gray. So each one, this one I'm pushing down really lightly. And then once you're done, you can go back and kind of smooth them out again with your blending stomp. And then hopefully you've got a noticeable difference in value between each one of the squares or rectangle. Yeah, well done. Yeah. Could be a little bit neater.